But
Hey, Chip, with someone like Ashton who's so physical, how do you balance putting the physical but also trying to preserve it?
yeah, I mean, Ashton has his own unique style. I don't think we're going to ever try to coach that out of him. I think he's amazing after contact, and that's probably one of his biggest strengths. So our job right now is just getting him lined up, having him understand what our offense is, what our scheme is, and then let him go in terms of his running style. His running style. It's gotten him this far, so we're going to continue to ride that.
Where's he in terms of pass protection? He's picking up, understanding that.
Again, it's these days right now is really part of OTA still, because we still haven't had full. We have not had full pads on. I don't think we get to do that till practice 5. When you watched him in college, he's a tough, hard-nosed, physical. Not only as a runner but in pass protection. We just haven't had a chance. Now we drill it. Thielen is as good a coach as there is in terms of getting guys ready to play. But we haven't done anything where I can say, I've seen it myself, but I don't have any question that he can be really good in the pass world.
Definitely seen him being tapped into in the pass game, and not just on screens, but kind of downfield. Obviously, that was something that you guys saw on film, in college. But how pleased are you with the progress that he's shown?
He's done a great job. He's a natural catcher. He played a little bit of receiver in high school when we talked to him. I think he played some slot receiver, but he catches the ball naturally. It's a natural deal for him. All Ashton is working on right now, to be honest with you, is just our terminology and just feeling really comfortable in how we call it. He played in a pro-style offense. Dirk Cutter, former head coach of the National Football League, was his offensive coordinator the last couple of years. So, he's got a really good understanding. He's smart, excited. You're starting to. What we want to just make sure is we just don't overwhelm him with everything, because obviously our playbook is a little bit more than a college playbook, and all NFL teams are the same way. So, but he's handled everything really, really well so far.
Chip, at this point in the offseason, what are you looking for from the offense?
It's not the offseason, so it's the season, and it's day 2. I think all of us, the whole coaching staff, and the players will tell you too, for 2 days, they've been sharp. Really, the question you always have is, they left here on June 11th and they came back for July 23rd. Where were they in the interim? And you could tell that these guys worked on it, not only from a physical standpoint in terms of their conditioning and what they did coming back, but mentally they were sharp. And we've thrown a lot at them, because we came out of the spring, and when we got back here day 1, they were kind of responsible for everything from the spring. So it's been a big install, and will continue to be, but it's because they can handle it. So they've been really, really short. They love playing, and so they're as excited. You watch their enthusiasm; it's not fake. They're excited to be out there playing football. So we're excited where they are right now, and it's really about stacking really good days on top of good days. Now we've had 2. The challenge is, can we have a good walkthrough this afternoon, and can we carry that over till tomorrow?
Chip, there's a lot of expectations on the wide receiver room, and how have you seen the rookies kind of grow with this offense that encourages you about the season?
Yeah, and I mean, there's every wide receiver room in the league. It's a passing league, so for you to compete, you got to run the ball to win games, but you got to score. To score points, you got to throw the football. And I think we're young out there, but we have some talent. So we're only still 2 practices in, and still in that kind of OTA mentality. You're really going to be able to tell when you get to play in the first preseason game. You get to practice against the 49ers, and then get to play the Cardinals. So you're going to find out. And even as we move the following week, a week from Saturday, we'll have a game in Allegiant, a scrimmage in Allegiant. So, but so far so good.
You mentioned it's early. What has Dante Thornton shown you so far in terms of what he can get out of this offense?
He just has a great skill set. For someone that tall, that fast, he's got a big catch radius. He's done a really nice job, and Chris Beatty does a great job with it in terms of picking up our offense. I think he's very sharp. I know Gino really it's comforting to Gino to know he's got someone that fast, that tall out there, because there's a big body to throw to that can run and stretch a defense a little bit. So, he's been really good. But I think for all these guys, as you start to get into the second week of training camp, and then the preseason games is when you'll start to really be able to get an idea of where they are.
Coach, you mentioned being able to the guys picking up on schemes and playbook. How excited does that make you? Just like I got guys who can absorb, retain, and go out there and execute.
It's awesome. This is such a good group to coach. Like they want to be coached. They're thirsty for knowledge. When you go into the meeting room, there's a little buzz and there's an excitement. It's not like, oh God, we're in camp. What are we doing here? It's like they're excited. And it's special when you get an opportunity to be on an NFL roster. And I think these guys are really taking advantage coach, it makes it a blast to come in this building every day. And I think a lot of it's from the tone that Pete has set. He's made football fun for these guys, and this group loves playing football. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yesterday, Gino came out and said that you've been doing a good job of putting players in position to really make plays. Obviously, you have your scheme of what you want to implement, but how much goes into really learning each player and creating schemes just for them in particular?
That's a great question, and I think there's a ton involved in that. Is being able to figure out what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of each individual player, and then try to put them in positions where they can make plays. The beauty of it is that the guy pulling the trigger can run everything. So if we're with Gino and say, hey, we'd like to do this, he can do it. If you want to do that part of the game, whether it be quick game, he can do it. With throwing deep balls, he can do it. Throwing the intermediate deep balls, he can do that. He's got so much experience, and to have a veteran quarterback there it's such a comforting feeling. And really, Aiden, who's got experience, he's not a rookie. And in his first 2 days, he's been really, really sharp. But two guys that when defenses are trying to do some things, and Pat does a great job of trying to scheme you up, show you one thing, but then give you another. And for those guys to be able to diagnose it, and they're the point guard, they're the ones that are pulling the trigger every play. But to have those guys doing it makes it really easy.
At that point, just about kind of figuring out what the guys around can do. In terms of a guy like Brock, how much fun do you have in figuring out what you can do with him in this offense?
Well, that's part of it, and you learn every day. So you obviously know that he can go deep. He can catch shallow routes. I learned over the summertime he can hit grand slams. So you learn more about the player every single time you're around him. So if for some reason it turns into a home run derby and we're playing anybody in the NFL, I'll take Brock. So, but he's just such a special weapon, and you ask him too. He's still learning. I think Kirby did a great job at Georgia in terms of how they used him. I think you'll start to see. I think he can use him in a lot of different ways, and he's a special player. And so we're really excited about him.
Jakobi, we've seen him kind of move around since OTAs, trying to find his role in the offense. What do you think the biggest areas of focus for him should be?
Well, for all those guys, it's just really truly understanding the offense. For a veteran, it's they're thinking about their release plan. For a rookie, they're thinking about, do I line up +2 from the hash, -1 from the hash? My route is a slant, and they haven't even recognized the defense yet. When you're an older player, that stuff's kind of second nature for them. Now it's, what's my plan? Is it press? Is it off man? How do I want to release this guy? Some of those things. So it's just him getting more comfortable in our scheme. But in like a lot of college players nowadays, he played in 2 different systems. He was in LSU system and did a nice job in that system, and now he's played for Sonny at TCU, and so that was a different system. So he's sharp and he's picking things up. But both him, Dante, Ashton, they're still rookies, and they still have, even though they got here right after the draft, they haven't had pads on. We still haven't gotten to that point, so we're still running around, and hopefully everybody looks good in this, and they do. So that's a positive.
Chip, we've seen Thayer playing a little bit of guard. Jordan was playing center today.
Yeah.
Meredith. Feels like this offensive line has some versatility and some guys that can cover a lot of different positions. How good is that depth, or what do you feel about the depth?
Pads.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that one.
Right.
A lot of guys, I've seen guys look great, and then all of a sudden you put the pads on, and you're like, where did he go?
Right.
Well, he's still here, but you just don't notice him as much anymore. But to have versatility, I think that's a real big deal. Jordan can play both center and guard. JPJ can play both center and guard. Thayer's played guard, can play tackle, can he swing? I think bringing in Alex Kaplan was a great maneuver because it really adds a veteran that's played multiple positions. So we're going to try to sort that out. The one thing about the NFL, it's so much different than college, is game day. You're going to have either 7 or 8 guys up on game day. So whoever the 5 starters are, that's great. Those other 3 guys, you don't have 10. So you don't have a backup left tackle, backup right tackle, backup right guard, backup left guard, backup center. You got 3 guys. And they got to be able to go no matter who goes down. So, if you lose 2 tackles, then 2 of those backups technically going to go play tackle. And the more versatile those other guys are, the better it's going to be for your depth, especially in game.
Chip, what have you thought of Jakobi Meyers thus far? You think he's poised to have a big season from how his training camp has gone early on and everything?
Well, he had a big season last year.
Yeah.
I think the only receiver in the NFL not to drop the ball. Such a sure-handed receiver. He can play both inside and outside. Showed up a lot today. I thought he made some really, really big plays today. I know Gino has a really good comfort level with him. But I think his versatility from, similar to what we just talked about with the offensive line, his ability to play inside and outside, it really helps us. If we got 2 tight ends in the game, can he be an outside receiver? If we don't have 2 tight ends in the game, can he play and line up in a tight end position in the slot, and he can do it all. So he's a good weapon to have.
And I know Brock can kind of move around to different positions. Does that just kind of give you a chance to express a lot of creativity on offense potentially?
It does, and I think what you're looking for is matchups, and defense is the same way. A lot of people on defense have gone to more multiple dime linebackers, guys that were safeties that are playing linebacker. Jamal Adams is a guy that, I think there's a reason they brought him in here. The league is like that. It's almost a little bit, there's some positionless deals. Like, hey, they got 3 or 4 guys that he could be a tight end, he could be a receiver, he could be a receiver, he could be a running back. He could be a safety, he could be a linebacker. He could be a linebacker, he could be a defensive end. So the more versatility you have, I think it helps you and it allows you to be more creative with the schemes.
All right, thanks, Coach.